Thank you for coming. So I'm Gigi. I know most of you guys. I'm super excited about this because I'm going to use this word and I'm probably not supposed to. I'm an organized hoarder. Which means I'm organized but very neat about, I still can't think, so I'm thrilled. I wish I could stay, but I can't. I'll watch it later. So we are very fortunate to have 4 local professionals who are also Stow residents, giving back to the community and sharing some of their knowledge. I can say I know them all, and they're wonderful. I'm going to turn it completely over to them. The only administrative notes, if you can shut your cell phones off, just so that it's not ringing and interrupting. And then you should have a couple of handouts and some paper. One handout tells you a little bit about each of the presenters. The other one is, as many of you might know, as a service to the Stow seniors, we accept donations. It's a way to help keep you organized. So one side talks about what we take. The other side is some other options for things we don't take to help you. If you have any feedback on that, definitely give it, because I literally, Allison and I finished putting it together right before this. So a lot of inner half of the paper. And the last is just a blank piece of paper. So if you have questions, just make a note and save them to the end, because the presenters have a little bit of an outline to make it go smoothly. So that's it. We hope you enjoy it. If you have feedback, let us know either about this or other things, because we hope to. So you're in good hands.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Once again, just in case it wasn't clear, even though there's 4 of us speaking, if you could save all your questions, not for each individual, but for after.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Catherine Hamill, and I am a local realtor, but I've also been a Stow resident for 22 years, and I've been a realtor for 19 of those years. And I work in Stow, but also a lot of other towns. So being here, I just want to make clear that I'm not expecting all of you to sell your house. I have worked with people and gone to consultations with them, and by the end of our discussion, I've really realized that it's not the right time for them to sell. And I've had that discussion with them, and I said, instead, here are some things I think might be better for you for now. And then let's check in on a regular basis and see how you're doing. But I don't think this is the right thing for you to do right now. You don't, for whatever reason. There's a million reasons why that might not be the appropriate time to move. So just to be clear, I have talked people out of selling their houses despite the lack of inventory right now. Sometimes making small improvements in your house can really make it much more livable. Safety improvements and using people like these amazing women next to me that can help you organize space and make it more usable for living in, and safer. And I think that's a big thing that you need to always be considering. And clutter can make it an unsafe space. And things like rugs can make it unsafe, and flooring, and even having a shower that you have to step into instead of redoing that. So one thing I do want to tell people is, like, if you watch HGTV and how houses look on that, it is 100% not how anyone can live in a house. So a house that is staged and ready to sell or just sold is not the way people live. So don't feel intimidated about watching those shows and saying, I can't ever get to that point. You don't need to be until about a minute before you sell. And then you just have to get through that little selling process. But you're not selling. So anyway. So one of the questions I get the most from people is, what improvements should I do in my house for the long term, in the next couple years, to make my house long term more sellable, even if that sale is for my children at some point. So I always tell people the most important rooms are your kitchens and your bathrooms. Those are the rooms you should really be looking to improve and make more modern. So when you replace appliances, replace them with stainless appliances. If you're considering replacing countertops and cabinets, replace them with really simple, classic materials. So shaker cabinets, white or a very light color. Stick with light. It changes over time, things change, but really the lighter cabinets do inevitably sort of last longer as far as style. And for countertops, I always recommend a stone, not granite. Granite is not popular anymore, so any kind of stone, soapstone or quartz or marble. So, and work with, again, if you have to, I would recommend working with an organizer about all the stuff inside of your cabinets and around your spaces. Make your spaces wide enough if you're redesigning so that you have plenty of room, but not too wide because you want to be able to hold on to something if you need to, if you're feeling unsteady. And just make sure there's nothing on the floors. Flooring, I would recommend making sure that if you're replacing flooring, going to either a really high quality ceramic or hardwood. And I know hardwood in kitchens sounds funny, but it really does look beautiful and people love it, and it can be refinished if you need to refinish it. But if you're gonna do ceramic that's like a high quality that looks like wood, not just ceramic squares. So, and if those are slippery spaces, you can get, you can put area rugs that are flatter and have a good grip so that you have safety in mind as well, not rugs with any volume. In bathrooms, again, like I was saying, I really think bathrooms can make a huge impact when showing a house. So replace any kind of shower that you have to step into, especially if you have more than one bathroom. Make that a bathroom that you walk into, in your shower, you walk into it. As low a lip as you can possibly do. And if you need to put a grab bar in there, that's absolutely fine. And have a seat in it if you can. Have a handheld. So if you're redesigning, think of all these things, even if you don't need it right now, that will help you stay in your house longer and safer. And also, when you're doing it, keep style in mind. Again, so tile, don't replace with fiberglass if you possibly can avoid it. Put in stone, put in ceramic tiles, classic and simple. Again, so I know I say simple and it's sort of boring, but just you can put colorful things around. You can get nice pillows. You can get nice appliances on your counters, whatever, with lots of color, but the base of everything should be as plain as possible. So I know that sounds boring, but it really does. Also, when you're replacing things, replace lighting and mirrors and vanities in the same sort of style that you're doing all the other things in. So if you can afford it, I do recommend having a designer give you an overall palette of everything. It's not super expensive, and they can give you sort of a guide of what to do so that you, as you're doing things, everything has the same palette. It's really nice to walk into houses that have that consistency about them. And I think having lots of cabinets that are well organized so that you can tuck things away and keep them out from under your feet and is also really helpful. So let's see. If you have more than one bathroom, full bath, do leave one bathroom that has a tub because families do like to have tubs for their kids when they're young. I think one of the things I also hear a lot when people are sort of thinking about their spaces is, where do I start? It's scary. I mean, you kind of look at a whole house and you think about, like, how am I going to ever get this done? Either I think hiring someone, these guys are worth their weight in gold, because if you have someone coming every week or every 2 weeks and they have left you with homework of just redoing one closet, or one room or one cabinet. Every week they are going to come back and they're going to say, did you get that done? And you'll say, yep, I did that. And they'll say, awesome, okay, and then you'll move on to the next thing. And before you know it, you'll start to get into the rhythm and you'll learn. It's a learned experience. So anyway, so I think that's how you start. If you can't or don't want to hire someone, find a friend and have them come over for tea once a week, and you go to their house every week. And you guys dedicate to each other. You make a pact that you're gonna just, before we have our tea, we're gonna clean this drawer out. Or before we have our tea, we're gonna do this cabinet. And we're gonna throw things away we don't need, and we're gonna keep things we need. And, but we're gonna organize them and label them and have them all put away. So, so that's sort of where I would say to start. Find an accountability partner. I recommend always hiring a professional, because these guys will be much more efficient than a friend, because your friend, you guys start talking and then it could just go off on a tangent. But anyway, so that's my spiel. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. Oh yes, right. I have to pass the microphone on.
I just realized I put my fingers on it first. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, everybody.
It's okay.
Thank you. So, hi.
Accountability partners.
Right. And I'm Emily Gittleman, also Stow resident. And I will organize anywhere people often say, oh, my friend's mother in St. Louis. Okay, if they want to pay for my flight, I'll do it. But, and I think I'm just going to sit down. Standing up, but introducing was enough. And I want to debunk Catherine's, all that information was great, but one thing to note that I noted, even though you did emphasize that it's great to have a professional help, that friends and family, which is partly what I was going to get into anyway, family, if you do need to declutter your home and get it ready for sale, it often turns into having a family member nag at you and say, just throw this stuff out. And friends, I don't know that with the skill set that we have that make things systemize much easier and smoother, because even with our own selves, we tend to say, we'll do it, and then we give up. So, so for self-promoting, business-wise, I would say, just even every day, whether we're selling our house, or great points having it just be safer and less cluttered for, you know, the present and the future. I think we all know that we could feel better just with our homes functioning better. Even if we just want to do, or you want to have, some of us do just a part of a house for now, one room, one garage, one attic, that's still something we can do. But I think people think of home organizers as wearing white gloves, notice no gloves, no nail polish, being judgy. People feel embarrassed if they're going to have to have somebody come in and help them, but we're care-oriented people who are very patient, and we are just really interested in helping you hand in hand, get it done. And so probably this is a real story of how I got my first start in somebody's house where our kids were playing in the basement, and somebody said, "Oh, we want to have some crackers. They're upstairs in the cabinet." But with little toddlers at that time, you can't take your eyes off. So I offered, I'll go get them if someone watches my son. And when I opened the cabinet, I saw loads of, this is probably almost all of our cabinets, soup cans, cereal, chips, and we dig through and reach. And so I offered to that person, if you want your pantry organized, I'm willing to trade for the time to watch my son. And this was a start before I went professional. And I will also say that this is very common, so don't feel bad if this is your Tupperware cabinet, that we open it up. I open it up when I've been hired, and the containers tumble out, and people just, you could take a half an hour out of your day and match them up and make sure all the lids have bottoms, but who does it? Well, I love to do it. It's like a preschool matching game to me, so it's a win-win. I help you, you're then organized. And by the way, getting back to the pantry, a typical thing might be that when we're going to look for that bottle of ketchup, we then find somewhere in the back, oh, we already had 2 or 3, but we forgot, and it went back on the shopping list, and now we have too much. So what I do is I help just make containers. We don't have to buy them with great expense at the Container Store. I find resourceful ways to then say all the soups that we keep might be in one basket. And then when you want the soup, just pull out the basket and pick which one. And when you put it back, it's organized again. So it just takes that kind of extra compulsion that we're kind of wired with, and most people aren't. And it doesn't have to be like labeled with a piece of paper that says, it's just something that can help, little things that help you when you're rushing out the door and can't find your keys, so you're late and you're stressed. We find a little way to make a hook or something happen for you. Basically, what we can do for you is reduce your stress, save you time. And so it's not just creating like the look that Catherine mentioned in HGTV or magazines that, we're not going to make the pressure that now you have to feel like you live in this sterile environment. It's just something that will be an improvement for you. And once things are in place, you may even find that your habits naturally change. Like, this is where I keep my keys now. And you find yourself putting things back where they belong instead of just saying, I'll do that later. And I liken organizing to gardening. It's, if any of you have gardens and they have been planted, seeds have been planted, the flowers come up, there's no weeds around, and but self included, I don't feel like weeding, so then the garden gets overgrown. The more it's overgrown, the less I feel like dealing with it. So it makes it harder. So paring down with clutter to me is like kind of maintaining a garden. And I would say that you don't have to have, it could be that we come one time that works with your schedule. It could be 1 month over time, but it takes a lot longer than we realize. And sometimes when I've figured out how long is it going to take this person's house to get into order, I'm so used to knowing how much working with different rooms and what the amounts of things in the room, I might think, okay, it could get done in 10 hours. But do we want to sit there and spend 10 hours, and can we? Can we have the stamina? No, but can we schedule over like the course of 2 weeks in between medical appointments or whatever else we have? So I would say also, going back to if you are selling, that don't have us come a month before or even 2 months before, because that crunch will happen by the time we get to schedule 2 hours here on this day, and then can't make our schedules overlap till the next time. But and as far as just what happens with the things that you are willing to part with, and I know Diane's going to get more into emotional, and it's not easy to make the decision, should we keep this or should we have it go somewhere forward. But so we're not just doing the physical work, we are working with you mentally, compassionately, and also the physical part, though, so in case that was one of your questions, what does leave your house while we are working hand in hand together, we're not doing it for you, we're doing it with you. It might come down to that it's going to have some value, and it could go to a consignment shop. We know which ones will take things, how much they might sell them for. We handle the appointment for you, and we follow up when there's a check at the end of the period. We get some money, not much in the consignment world, but back to you for you to recoup. If there's absolute trash, we haul that out. We're the big black bag. And then if it's donation, also, I'm saying we, but I will bring it for you and drop it off, because that's another thing we don't feel like doing, like getting it out to the car or whatever, dropping it off at the place. So, and also for containerizing, we do the research of where to go. If there aren't things already in your home to use resourcefully, we'll handle that for you as well. So, yes, thank you for promoting that our weight, while it is an investment in time and cost, is worth gold, silver, or bronze. So that's it.
It's the hardest part of the day. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. My name is Carol Ehrlich, and I also live in Stow. And I've been a professional organizer for the past 18 years, and it feels like it went by in about 2, but time's going by really fast. And I just want to focus today on some what I consider very practical things that you can go home and implement right away if you'd like to. And I am going to touch on a few topics that were already discussed, but with a little different spin for it. So the first thing, I know Catherine talked a lot about how to get started. And I think a lot of people, first of all, for most people, when they have a lot of stuff in the house, it didn't happen overnight. So maybe it got collected over 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And some people think they're going to wake up one day and say, okay, today is the day I'm going to get the house organized. It doesn't work that way, because if you think it's the whole house, you're going to say, oh, this is too big. I'm going to go watch TV, walk the dog, read a book, have a cup of tea. So then you might think, okay, gee, I'm going to start on the kitchen, which is a next great idea, and I'm just using the kitchen as an example. But even if you just said the kitchen, if you walk into the kitchen and then say, oh, great, now I'm in the kitchen, it's overwhelming, and you're going to go have a cup of tea and walk the dog and read a book or watch a movie. So what I suggest to people is, again, I'm just using the kitchen as an example, is if when we go into the kitchen, I'll say, let's look at some discrete areas of the kitchen that are, I know this isn't an English word, but I love to say it, that are chunkable. So for example, in an ordinary kitchen, there's the countertop. In some kitchens, there are several countertops. That would be one area. If you have an island, that would be another area. I might look at the cabinets on the top as an area, the cabinets on the bottom as an area. The inside of the fridge is an area. And then some people have little office desks within their kitchen. And then usually there's a pantry. So then we've broken it down into yet a smaller chunk to work on. And then we can say, okay, let's work on the pantry, start to bottom, which for a lot of people feels less overwhelming than, let's do the house today, let's do the kitchen today, okay? And in terms of trying to figure out where to start, you can either pick what you think would be the easiest area to start, so you gain some success. Some people want to start on the hardest part, so that's done with. For some houses and some people, you might want to think about a safety or, if you're selling the house, the priority might be some different rooms than if it was something else. And you can also make a list of all the things that you want to do either in a room or in the house and then prioritize them. And then you can say, okay, I'm going to start with number one. So it just depends on what you think would be easier for you. And another thing that you can do to try to increase the probability of success, and success to me is you're doing whatever you want for your house. As we've said before, it has nothing to do with my house or my sister's house or what House Beautiful looks like. It has to do with what you want or need the house to look like, either for your purposes or for selling purposes. And so I want to talk about positive and negative reinforcement. So we were all 5 years old once, and in some ways, it doesn't matter that we're not 5 anymore. A lot of people are still often motivated by positive and negative reinforcement. And I always try to start with the positive. So if there are things that you love to do, and you can make your own list, that would be a treat for you. You can say, when I'm finished with the inside of the fridge, or when I'm finished with the kitchen, or whatever it is, I'm going to treat myself to X. And try to keep that in mind. And only for the very last urgent things, I would say, okay, if you don't do this, then this is what might happen. And in my experience, sometimes that's the default, because sometimes people they're at risk of being evicted unless they sort their house out, and then they're legally given 30 days, and then it's a very different scenario. It's not like, gee, what would you like to do so we can make a cup of tea? It's like, do you want to maintain the ability to stay in your house or apartment? If the answer is yes, then this is what we have to do, okay? So keeping in line with the positive and negative reinforcement, I often ask people, I'll say, are you a visual person? And it seems like almost everybody says yes. If you're a visual person, you can, whether you're what I call a modern person, if you're doing it on your computer or your phone, or if you're an old fart like I am and you have a piece of paper, here's my example, is you can write down your list of the places in the house that you want to address, and you can stick it on the fridge, or you can keep it on your phone. And you know what it feels like to cross something off your list. Some people write things on the list even though they've already done them just so they could cross it off. So if you're visual, put it on the fridge, keep it on your phone, and say, okay, I did the fridge today. Okay, I did this. And that, in coordination with your positive, hopefully, reinforcement can hopefully spur you on. And that, again, then gets into what we talked about, enlisting help. So it's great if you can enlist friend, family, so you don't have to spend the money for us. If you're trying to do that, I would encourage you to try to pick someone who you think could really be helpful to you, not just someone who says, I am willing to help. So it's lovely when someone says, I would like to help you, but it's your job to think, do I trust this person? Is this person going to be kind and compassionate to me? Are they going to be understanding? Are they going to be patient? It sounds like I'm describing a saint, but you kind of have to be. And I call it that putting your hands on the hip thing. It's like Emily said, it's like, I don't understand. This is the classic line. I don't understand. Why don't you just throw everything away? That is not the right person for you to have as your partner for this, unless maybe you're at risk of getting evicted. Okay, so think very consciously and intentionally about whom you might ask for help. And I have not done any research on this, but I will say subjectively that something about when people share DNA, it's usually not a good match. So I don't know why, but I'm just telling you, okay?
They live in the same house.
That's right, or if they live in the same house. So another thing I want to say, again, it's been touched on before, is when you're thinking about recycling or donating, or if it's real trash, so often clients will say to me, I just want to get a big dumpster and throw everything in the dumpster. You can do that. It's very effective and it's efficient, but it's really costly on several levels. So it costs $300 or $400 or $500 to get a smallish dumpster. And the flip side of the cost is so many people, when they want to just throw everything away, the stuff that they're throwing away could be used by people who don't have the resources that you might have. And so often clients will say, oh, but it's this old thing, I've been wearing it for 30 years. Who would want this? Someone who can't afford to buy their clothes in the store would be happy to go to Savers and spend $5 or $7 for an outfit that they can wear to work. So almost everything is reusable. So I encourage you, when you're deciding to part with something, to think, could someone else reuse it? And as, I can't even remember who said it now, Emily or Catherine, but Gigi also mentioned it. You know, she's got the whole list of places there. We're all familiar, Gigi's familiar with the places that will come to pick things up for free, the people that will pick things up, but there's a cost, the people who will come into your house for free and pick up furniture and they do the labor, and it all depends on availability and your time frame and all that kind of stuff, but there's so many avenues where we live to, I call it sharing the stuff with the world. And another thing I encourage people to do when they're making these decisions is, I always call it leaving the house, because I never want to say throw away or give away. I say leaving the house, and I'll say, is this something you want or need to keep, and how come, why? And then I'll say, or is this something you're willing to have leave the house? So if you're willing to have it leave the house, do you want to share it with someone you know? Do you want to save it for a good friend of mine who I know would like this? Or do you want it to go to what I call the world? And the world is, you're donating it, you don't know who's going to end up with it, but somebody's going to be able to use it, okay? And then another thing that I want to say in terms of the process is, when I talk to prospective clients on the phone, I tell them, I warn them, and my friends here know this, is that I ask a lot of questions. And the reason why I ask a lot of questions is I'm trying to find out what the client needs so I can meet their needs with whatever solution we come up with. So I'm not going into somebody's house with a cookie cutter answer. It depends. I don't know. But the one thing that, at least for me and my clients, is what I consider cookie cutter is the ideal progression of steps to do this work in. And there's 3 steps. First, to get uncluttered, taking away the things that you don't want or need in your house anymore. Then getting organized, and then figuring out how to stay that way. And when I say ideally they happen in that order, sometimes clients say, oh, I don't want to get uncluttered, I just want to organize everything, and I'll figure out later what to get rid of. To which I say, we can do that, but you're going to spend a lot of time, labor, resources, money to get everything organized, and half of it's leaving the house. So it's a shame. So you can do it in that order, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then some people start with, well, how am I going to keep it this way? And what I found is people's brains can't hold those three things in their brain at one time. So if they're thinking about how they're going to keep it that way, they can't focus on uncluttering. And if they're focusing on getting organized, it's too soon to talk about the last stage. But it's important to do those three things if you want to keep it that way. Because it'd be kind of a shame to get uncluttered and then get organized and then a week later, and what I so often say to clients is, it would be self-serving if I didn't focus on the third part, because it would ensure that they'd need me to come back. And I always try to explain to my clients that I'm trying to do everything I can to help them meet their needs to the best of our ability and to share what I know and I've experienced so they can take that knowledge away with them so they don't have to call me back. And I also say that ad nauseum, I'm sure, I say the same things all day. I tell my clients what I'm thinking, why I'm thinking, how I'm thinking it, so they can start trying on in their brain a little bit of a different way to go about things. So maybe they'll say, oh, if Carol wasn't here, I would just say, I don't know, I'm stuck, I'm going to have a cup of tea. Or maybe after 8 hours, they might say, hey, wait a minute, if Carol was here, she'd be asking me these 3 questions. So there's a reason for my repetition so people can start to absorb and internalize a little bit different way of thinking, okay? So we were thinking before when we put this together of what questions do people often ask us. And I thought of the 2 questions that I think most of my potential clients are thinking about, but they're usually afraid to ask. So I say it first. And half the people laugh, and half the people on the phone I can see are going like, oh yes. People are afraid that I'm going to yell at them. And I tell them that I'm not going to yell unless there's a fire, in which case I will yell. And I explain again that I'm doing this with and for them. It has nothing to do with what I need, okay? And the other thing that they worry about, because a lot of my clients have multiple mental illnesses, and they're worried that I'm going to, quote unquote, make them do something they don't want to do. And I explain to them that that's not the way it works. I am not going in and saying, you've got 15 spatulas, you only need 5. That is not my place or my business. Someone who's a chef or who's not a chef may use every one of those 15 spatulas. And I think one of the best examples that I've had is, best examples of this, not of being organized, is one of my very first clients was a classic hoarder, and she hadn't had anyone in her home for 20 years. And she was young to me, 50-year-old professional, and she worked in the corporate world, and she dressed neatly and cleanly, you'd never know. And her goal was she wanted to be able to have someone over for tea or for dinner. And it was fabulous that she had a goal. And I asked her where she wanted to start, and she said, I want to start on the dining room table. I haven't seen the cover, thank you. Hadn't seen the surface of the dining room table in years. I said, okay, so that took a long time to just go through everything that was on the dining room table. And I don't usually count, but I was counting in my head, and there were 50 pair of eyeglasses, which is a lot for one dining room table. I didn't say, I can't believe you have so many eyeglasses. Why do you have so many glasses? This is ridiculous. None of those judgmental things. I said, oh, I see we have a large pile of eyeglasses here. Can you please tell me a little bit about these eyeglasses? Are they prescription? Are they not prescription? Are they yours? Are they someone else's? Are they old prescriptions? Are they particularly sentimental to you for whatever reason? So it's a way to get her to start to think for herself, why does she have all these glasses? And what was really helpful to her and us was that her church, with which she was very fond, was having a yard sale. And so she thought it'd be great if she could share some of those glasses with some of the people in the church. So I think that's all I want to say for now. And you can ask me questions later. Thank you. Go.
Right here. Thank you.
Well,
lower because I have a loud voice. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Diane Sestito. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being here. For 38 years, I am a professional organizer and a less is best lifestyle coach. I'm a senior, just like all of you. And I've been here in Stow, still living in Stow, for 25 years. Today, let's talk about one really important senior subject: change. Dealing with change. What is it that you, Jim, you want to change? Well, let's start with this. I brought the emotional treasure chest. Yes, our home, right? This is what I call, oh my God. Another phrase, OMG. So, we have every project has an oh my God. Every project has a plan, a purpose. Every solution is fueled by emotional oh my gods, OMG. What are they? What are OMGs? Well, I have a few to share, and I think we all have them. So in here, oh my, we have stresses, we have changes. How about to do? I can't do, can't let go. How about 3 a.m. bathroom visits? So, antiques, records, CDs, 70 clothes. I got them. Space taker-uppers, picture albums, many. And see, this drawer is filled with all of these. And stuff on top of stuff and stuff. So, how about just next door, barking dogs? Yes, that too. Diane can help make most of these things go away, disappear. What is important for us seniors? The senior OMG, oh my God, value plan. We need a plan. Our emotional balance. It's just like money in the bank. This means being present in the moment. Being aware and having our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions. Don't you agree? Managing your oh my gods, your OMGs, oh my, oh my, effectively and with others helping you, will give you balance, less stress, and more happiness. For the past few months, I have been working with client Jerry and Terry, aged 75 years old. 3 homes, one in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and then needing a new home so they could live together. The project challenges. The OMG, the oh my God, oh my, emotions, emotional changes, stress, fear, can't let go. And how about the to-do list? To-do list. Exactly. Well, what's happening? The team, Diane, Terry, and Jerry, as a team, we're working together. So together, we're prioritizing the lifestyle, the challenges, and that conversation, that pool of stress. It's gone. It is now a positive solution. We designed, as a team, Terry, Jerry, and I, we designed the future vision for them, what they wanted. So, what's your vision? What's your future? One thing at a time. KISS, K-I-S-S. Keep it simple. Sally. And you know why I'm saying Sally? 80 years old, had a stroke, a 5-year, 6-year plan for us as a team, a challenge. From Concord, moving her to Stow, then from Stow, moving her to Pennsylvania to be with her family. Wow, that change, huge. But the change is a friend, was a friend. We created the oh my gods, the oh my's, the OMGs into a working plan. It was exciting. It was meaningful. It was simple. It was actionable. And it's designed for you. The result, your meaningful lifestyle. Now and for your future. I thank you. And now it's your turn for questions and answers.
I saw some people writing something down. Was it just your notes or not questions?
I do. I do have questions. I just had a senior moment. So, can I share? Terry and Jerry. I talked to you about Terry and Jerry, 75 years old, 3 houses. So, I'm thinking to myself, okay, we talked about, let's have, a couple questions that we come up with some answers. I'm like, yes, of course I have questions, yes, but wow, it's so real. Ask my clients. I called Terry and Sherry. I said, listen to what I'm doing. They got so excited. I said, but I have some homework for you. Come up with 2 questions. Jerry, you come up with 1 question, and Terry, you come up with a question. So this is Sherry's. How can an organizer help me define and execute a project? What definition of a project helps me get into a positive future place? So, now my answer. Projects are personal, whether it be a closet, a kitchen, a bathroom. It has to work for you and your living environment. Organizers will help you put the tools and the teams needed to make your project a success for you. So that was the question.
I just wanted to say, we have an employee, Diane, and she has been a wonderful friend. I lost my wife in October, and what I wanted to say is that the emotional side of this is just, it's hard to describe. I'm just out there right now. And I'm a retired social worker. I work with the elderly. The number one thing that people have problems with is losing their house. Most of the women here are women who are much more capable, I think, than dealing with this stuff than men. And it's been so wonderful to have Diane guide us through. I've got my brother-in-laws and so on. But to lose your abode is the number one cause of emotional stress. You know what number 2 is? Losing your license. You can't drive.
And share the positive. You just.
Yes, and I'll tell you, I was so nervous, but fortunately, I'm an AAA member, and so I went to AAA. I'm 82 years old, and I thought, oh my God, you know, am I going to get passed? Am I going to have to drive? Took 15 minutes, and I had my license.
May I chime in, because, and certainly if there are questions, but we also came prepared with some. One point is the word homework has been kind of buzzing around, and I do want to debunk that that's very optional. We, like Carol said, we want to encourage you to be able to do for yourselves, even though that may not benefit our business of coming back and back and back. But I'm wondering how many people have, other than you, have ever hired an organizer, whether it's before you were downsizing, or has anyone?
Good question.
And how many have hired cleaners that come into your house maybe every 2 weeks? A lot, yeah. So, you know, there's one topic that kind of hasn't, you know, I guess I expected to have come from the audience, like costs. So people I think, who definitely feel they need help keeping their house cleaned with vacuuming and dusting and polishing, and we'll hire a cleaner without thinking and on a regular basis. So hiring an organizer may be more of a need, that whether you're moving, by the way, there's something called Move Manager if anyone also needs to know, but that's when you need help kind of with us or after us. And we also have resources that involves more packing everything up, hiring a van, getting you to be all set to leave your place and hire a new and implement getting set up in the new place, or staging where we may have decluttered and your house is going to go for sale, and real estate agents have resources for stagers that all your belongings actually do get moved out or put in storage or sent to the next place, and it's all ready for resale. But these are all different costs. And we all have all different costs. If anyone wants to hear about it, we do have a person to speak
So
about
for the
that.
most part, for staging, just sort of correction, is not, generally, we don't do an empty house staging. A stager will work mostly with the furniture or the belongings in the house, way pared back and augmented by a few pieces, but generally, as long as things are in even pretty good shape, they will work with mostly what's there and then add a few things.
And is
Just to
staging
round it out.
really beneficial to selling?
Yes, so there are a lot of studies that show that between 10 and 30% value added. So the cost of staging, and yeah, the cost of staging is more than worth it. And it will sell much faster.
Oh,
So, yeah.
And I'd just like to add, I think there's a misconception that a lot of people have that staging is quote unquote making your house fancy and modern. And it's making it streamlined and generic and what I call vanilla, so that when the family comes in to look, they're not going in saying, oh, well, that can't be 5-year-old Jane's room because the walls are blue. And people will not even go see a house for the craziest reasons, but that's what's in their head. So
Yes.
you want people to be able to go in and say, I can imagine living here.
Yeah.
So it's not about how the house is decorated or the style that it's in. Are the lines clean and simple, and can the people actually see the house?
Yeah.
So of course you want to take down anything that's, I shouldn't say of course, religious or political or otherwise, anything like that, because someone will come in and say, well, there's a deer head on the wall, I'm out of here. Or they'll come in and say, there's a peace sign on the door, I'm out of here. Anyway,
Well, it's also like wedding photos, kids'
Yeah.
photos, and
diplomas on the wall.
anything like that, because people start looking at that and they stop looking at that.
Yeah.
But if anyone has questions that they didn't think of right now, and,
I have a question.
yes.
Now, if you have like two people in the house, right? And one person decides it's time to have somebody clean and organized, and the other person decides it's not time to have somebody clean and organized. How do you?
It's called marriage
How do
counseling.
you, marriage counselor,
Yeah,
how do we get to that as we understand?
I think a way to address that, because that happens so often between couples, is for us not necessarily to talk to you, but to talk to your more reluctant partner. To have a conversation with that person to explain what he or she thinks you're asking for as the partner, and for us to explain how we think we can help. So I look at it not as a chance to sell my services, but as a chance to have you guys both understand what you might gain from it. So offline, you could go off and make a decision. Because talking people into stuff is not a recipe for
Is anything
success.
anything that, that is, congenial to talk to it about, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think like maybe doing, I mean, I don't know, because I haven't, it takes two people to sign a listing agreement if there's two, but like if they just did one small area with you
Yes.
and said, how does this feel afterwards?
Yes.
That's a great idea, that's a very
Yes.
good idea.
Yeah.
And what I also often ask people, if it'd be helpful to them, is to have a three-way conversation. So if we're on the phone, to have everybody have the same conversation at the same time. And when I'm speaking with one person who's the asker, I ask them, when we hang up, I said, as best as you can remember, please share everything we talked about with your partner. The good, the bad, the ugly, the whatever, so they have the information that you have, so you can make an informed decision.
I would add to that, we all work differently, but some of our business models come with, we would want to see what's in your home, what you're working with, because some people might feel like just their junk drawer is what drives them crazy and the rest of the house is well put together, or you have the reluctant partner. So there can be, whether it's on the phone, a conversation that takes time with no cost, or coming into your house for free consultation to get an idea. And then piggybacking on Catherine's point, in that we could say, I could show you in a little 15-minute example. We'll pull out one drawer and then make that other person comfortable to say, oh, I see.
Excuse me, I'm not moving, but I brought a lot of stuff with me when I moved here. And my interest is resources of where I can get rid of some of this stuff. I have things that belong to my parents, and they're precious to me, but nobody wants them. So I would like to get rid of them, but I'd like to sell them if I possibly can. And that's part of my interest. And I need my kitchen reorganized.
We help with even just that aspect, whether it's one room, one drawer, the whole house, moving, not moving. And we are here for information, not promotion, but we do have our cards on the table if people want to contact us for questions that you have now.
Any one of you would be, well, not so much me, but the other
I
three of
do
you
that.
would be helpful, because I see ads for people for, selling antiques and things. I don't know who's reliable, I don't know who's a crook,
Let me share, let me,
don't want people coming to your house.
Good point.
That's
Very
right.
good point.
so that's why the comfort of any one of us, the years that we have been involved, and the clients that we have had, and the travel that we have done, the resources are there. The resources are there from, myself, an auctioneer, someone that's been doing it for 40 years. Trust is so important. Places that are here surrounding our area, like the hidden treasures, in Clinton, and then places that consignment, like in Clinton, Gallery 56, between clothes and furniture, and we all have that knowledge, and that's very important to us. The key thing is it can go somewhere, and if it's sellable, we'll make it happen, because that money is in your pocket, and then that money turns over to make it all happen.
Whereas what you're referring to, I think I've experienced, where looking for resources for selling people's precious objects, and I've then learned what the costs are, only that area. That's all they do, is come here, drop off your things, we'll list them on eBay, and goodbye. That's a not personal, singular focused. We come and look at your things and help guide you, and it's multifaceted.
That's great, thank you very much.
Do we have any other questions?
because I'd just like to point out, we're after 2, so if you have more questions, I think we're all able to stay here afterward, and we're available to answer questions individually or, of course, offline.
Yeah.
So,
And I would, if there, are there any other questions?
I have one. When you get to the organization stage, do you always have to buy lots of little containers?
No,
Because that seems to be
no.
part of.
that's part of TV.
That, right. We use what you have. You'll be amazed at what you can do with the things that you have.
Or if you need containers that aren't, there aren't baskets or little buckets in your house. We don't have a warehouse where we then sell them to you or charge them to you. In particular, when I noted that I don't want you to feel like you have to go to the Container Store or buy their products. We know, we gauge what you need, and I anyway will do shopping for you at Target or something, and ahead of time say, this is what they have, this is their cost. What do you think? Do you want me to pick up 3 of these for you, or do you want to get them yourself? No extra.
But think of this too, the things that you have in your home. So you're hiring an organizer to help you declutter, right? Once you declutter, once these containers are empty, guess what? You might be able to use those containers for something else that you definitely want at home. Can I finish? Any other questions? I just want to finish with this one other question from Terry. So Terry, 75 years old, how do I make lifestyle, my lifestyle, your lifestyle, more enjoyable, meaningful? The answer, that an organizer, Diane. Services, experts, as needed. Teams, the teams, making all the pieces fit and work together. Stress-free and seamless. Actions and solutions, and that will get you where you want in your next chapter of life. Be. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.